Welcome back to the final session on perceptual video hashing. In the previous session, we discussed the perceptual video hashing based on radial projection as well as on random projection technique. We concluded that the performance of the perceptual video hashing based on random projection is better compared to the performance of the uh, video hashing technique based on radial projections. Moreover, the video hashing based on random projection is computationally simple. But the thing is that it has definitely scope for improvement, and we said that instead of applying random projections on the luminance values of the video, we can extract the relevant features and then apply the random projection on the those features, and therefore we can get a improvement in the performance of the algorithm. Let us see can we achieve it. And this algorithm is called as the perceptual video hashing algorithm based on the temporal wavelet transform and the Ecloptas random matrix. In this case, the input video is pre-processed and normalized. Here we have spatially resized the input RGB video is converted to gray video, and we have applied only spatial resizing. We have not done any temporal subsampling, but we have applied temporal wavelet transform on the video. That is, we have applied one-dimensional discrete wavelet transform in the temporal direction to extract the relevant features from the video. Now, depending on the number of frames, the number of decompositions may be different, but finally we select the low pass frames such that the spatial dimension and the temporal dimensions are the same. So in this temporal wavelet transform, if the number of frames, so we are checking that whether it is in equal to the power of 2 or not. If it is not in the power equal to the power of 2, then we append and then we try to apply the temporal wavelet transform. Okay, so here we apply temporal wavelet transform up to L's level of decomposition, retain only the X number of low pass frames to get the normalized transform video. Now once we have got that, now and now it is not the luminance component, but please remember that it is the transform domain coefficients. So that means we have got relevant features. Now it is a video. We are again, depending on a secret key, we are again having subcubes, and on these subcubes we are applying the random projection technique. How? We are on each subcubes we are vectorizing it. Again, this is a point in high dimensional space. We are having n subcubes, so we are having n points in high dimensional space. We are applying our Ecloptas random matrix on the transform domain coefficients that is obtained from temporal wavelet transform. So these points are in high dimensional space. After random projection, the points would be in low dimensional space, so the distances would be preserved as per the JL lemma, and then we perform averaging operation along the second dimension. We get a single vector. On this vector we use median based quantization to obtain a binary hash vector. Again, the hash is validated for the desirable properties. The unpredictability property, the normalized Hamming distances should be centered around 0.5, and you can see that the graph has now become very narrow and with centered around 0.5. Even for the visual fragility, the center is centered around 0.5 with spread from 0.2 to 0.8. Definitely it has improved considerably. And for the perceptual robustness property, the normalized Hamming distance should be close to 0. If you see this, it is centered around 0.2 roughly, and with spread from 0 to 0.45 approximately. Now, if you overlap the histogram obtained for visually similar video and visually different videos, you can see that there is an overlap, but the overlap has reduced drastically, and this means that there would be very less number of misclassifications. So if I keep the threshold say up around 0.35 or 0.4, again the if I say above 0.4 it is visually different, below 0.4 it is visually same. So very less number of visually similar videos will be classified as different videos, but there are still some different videos will be classified as visually similar videos, but the number of misclassifications has reduced drastically. Again, let us try to verify the performance of the algorithm using the receiver operating characteristics curve, that is the plot of the miss probability versus the false alarm probability. If the area under the ROC curve is minimum, then the performance of the algorithm is said to be better. We have tested for different single and multiple image processing attacks. Here only the sample curves are shown. Again, for the blurring, the proposed algorithm, that is TWT, which is in pink, has performed really well. Even for the noise, it is performed well, and for the multiple attacks also it has performed really well. Okay, so it is comparable to the state of the art and very better, but you can say that in some cases it is definitely has a scope for improvement. So we are now next going to propose the subspace projection technique, because in the existing literature the paraffect based decomposition, that is video hashing obtained from the parallel factor analysis, had performed really well. So can we generalize it? That is the idea, so that we can get a better performance of the algorithm. So can we do that? Okay, so that is the basically idea here. In this case, in the earlier case, the computational complexity increases if the number of frame increases, because the number of decomposition to obtain the x number of frames would increase, so and thereby the number of computation increases. That's the only thing. Otherwise performance is improved, but definitely has a scope for improvement. Okay, now, so finally, the algorithm that we had proposed was the Tucker decomposition based perceptual video hashing. So it is then generalization of paraffect based decomposition. So before that, here let me tell you that what is a tensor? A tensor is nothing but a multi-dimensional array. So if I say a matrix is a tensor of dimension 2, a vector is a tensor of dimension 1, okay, a cube is a tensor of dimension 3. So video will be a third order tensor. Okay, now what is mean by rank 1 tensor? If I can write a tensor as an outer product of 3 vectors, then we can say that this tensor is having a rank 1. Okay, so what was the basic idea in parallel factor analysis? Suppose a tensor X can be represented as the outer product of 3 vectors, and there are such R rank 1 tensors, then we say that we have used the paraffect decomposition. So this is the original video being treated as a tensor. We are trying to get its approximations using R rank 1 tensor. This is rank 1, rank 1. There are such R rank 1 such that the error between this, if I try to reconstruct this tensor based on these approximations, and if I try to measure the error between the original video and this reconstructed video, then the error will be minimum. So that's how we try to obtain this rank tensors. So here you can see that it is uniform, that is in the sense that the number of elements in along A, vector B and vector C would be the same. Let us see what and this is how we represent the element wise and compact form representations for Tucker decomposition. Again, you can see that in the compact form, suppose this is a video treated as a tensor of dimension alpha, beta, gamma, then that is being represented as a Tucker decomposition. Here a matrix A, matrix B and matrix C. You can see that dimensions are this is alpha row and then lambda columns, okay, and then the beta rows and mu columns, and then the gamma rows and then the nu columns. So you can see that the number of components, okay, loading matrices, these are all called as the loading matrices, and the number of components, the lambda, beta and lambda, mu and nu can be completely different. So here we have the flexibility. There we have to choose equal number of components, but here it is flexibility. So Tucker decomposition is a generalization of the paraffect decomposition. You can see that it is also a representation of outer product of 3 vectors AR, BP and CQ, but the number of elements, number of A's, number of B's and number of C's would be different. It is scaled by the values grpq, which is nothing but the core tensor array of dimension lambda, mu and nu. So lambda, mu, nu is the reduced dimensionality, I can say, and alpha, beta, gamma is the dimension of the given video. This is the compact representation of the Tucker decomposition. Element wise, you can see that element wise A of B and C are multiplied along with this gr of p comma q, elements of core tensor, and the error. If I neglect this, I can say that the given video being treated as a tensor is approximately represented using these elements. Okay, so using this, input video is pre-processed and normalized. When I say pre-processed and normalized here, we are converting RGB to gray. We are spatially resizing and temporally subsampling to obtain video as a cube. And here this video is now being treated as a third order tensor. And we are using a secret key to obtain different n overlapping subtensors. So we are applying Tucker decomposition on each of the subtensors. Once you obtain that, we obtain the intermediate hash vector from each of the subtensors. Then use averaging operation along the second dimension, and then apply median based quantization to obtain finally the hash vector. Okay, so this is how we are trying to apply the Tucker decomposition on the subtensors. Okay, this is nothing but, these are nothing but the dimensions. Okay, so because we know that the subcube dimension is phi cross chi cross psi. So this is what is the subdimensions, and lambda, mu, nu represents the number of elements in the loading matrices, that is A, B and C. Okay, so again we are trying to validate the hash properties. Unpredictability property, you can see that it should be around 0.5. All the values are very much centered around 0.5. So you can say that the hash based on the Tucker decomposition satisfies the unpredictability very much. And similarly for the visual fragility property, it should be around 0.5, and we can see that. And for the perceptual robustness property, the normalized Hamming distance should be very close to 0, and it is very much drifted towards 0 with a centered around 0.2 approximately. Now here also, when we try to overlap the histogram obtained for visually similar videos and perceptually different videos, you can see that there is still an overlap, but the overlap has reduced drastically, and then we can say that the misclassification would be very, very less. And hence we can say that the performance of the algorithm for, say, retrieving near duplicates videos or classifying it would be considerably better. Again, we are trying to evaluate the performance of the video hashing algorithm using the receiver operating characteristics curve, that is the plot of misprobability and false alarm probability. If the area under the ROC curve is minimum, that is the best performance algorithm. For the Tucker decomposition, it is in light green. You can see that it is performed really well for most of the single and multiple image processing attacks. Okay, so it is computationally simple and performance is very superior. So finally concluding it, we discussed various new perceptual video hashing techniques for solving the content authentication problem and the near duplicate identification problem. We discussed the video hashing algorithms based on three-dimensional radial projection, Eklund-Plus random projection, combination of temporal wavelet transform, and then the Eklund-Plus random projection, and finally the Tucker decomposition. The hashes extracted from the proposed perceptual video hashing algorithms were validated for desirable properties of the hash, namely the unpredictability property, visual fragility property, and perceptual robustness property. And the performance of the video hashing algorithms were evaluated using the ROC curves. Okay, so the performance of the proposed video hashing algorithms can be enumerated in the decreasing order. So the first best performing algorithm is the Tucker decomposition, followed by the combination of the temporal wavelet transform and the Eklund-Plus random projection, and the video hashing based on Eklund-Plus random projection alone, and finally the three-dimensional radial projections. Some of the future works that can be carried out. It would be interesting to investigate on how do you make use of the color component of the video to generate the hash. Remember, we had converted the RGB to gray video we had neglected the color component. So if you want to work on this, you can see that how the color component, adding the color component information would affect the hash and thereby the performance of the algorithm. In the radial projection technique, we had rotated the line and the plane by 1 degree. If to reduce the number of calculations, you can rotate it by 2 degree and then see how would be the performance of the algorithm. It would be worth investigating the performance of video hashing algorithm using sparse projection matrices and fast random projection matrices. Remember, we had used Acloptas random matrices, which consist of only +1 and -1 with equal probability. There is one more matrix proposed by the Acloptas random matrix, which is sparse, and also there is one more random projection matrix, namely the fast Johnson-Lindenstrauss transform matrix. You can use those matrices and then evaluate the performance of the video hashing algorithms. And also application specific perceptual video hashing. For example, can we utilize the a priori information about the characteristics of the video and then see how it would be affecting the performance of the algorithm. For example, if there are some minimally changing background, can we develop a robust video hashing technique for such applications and then see how it would be the performance. Okay, so whatever the algorithms that we had worked, it was not good for the content modification attack or malicious attack. So we can always there is still a scope for proposing the video hashing algorithms for identifying the malicious attacks, for detecting and then say what malicious attack was performed. And we had performed the video hashing on large video database, right? Like for example, 1,000 videos was considered and all the videos were at the max 5 minutes duration. So you can definitely check how the algorithm perform if the number of videos in the database increases, say lakhs, and also if the duration of the video is more than 5 minutes, say 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and so on, and then evaluate the performance of the algorithm. So if there are any questions, please follow the guidelines given by the coordinators, FDP coordinators. I'll be happy to answer your questions. Okay. Finally, I would like to once again thank Dr. Arvind, the head of the department, Electronics and Communication Engineering, Rajiv Institute of Technology, Hassan, the principal, the management, and also the FDP coordinators for giving me an opportunity to reach out to you people as a resource person. It was very nice. Thank you so much. Thank you for considering. I wish all the best for the researchers. Thank you for attending my session.